Hello, good morning, and welcome to forexforsteadyprofit.com. I use the Commitment of Traders report, which comes out every week on a Friday, and I need to give me an idea of market direction. I analyze the ratios of longs to shorts for the commercials and non-commercials, and I also look at the divergence on the pairs, and it gives me an idea of market direction. We'll just go and have a quick look at the charts. So here we have the Commitment of Traders information in its raw form. You get the non-commercial positions and the commercial positions, long and short, and then you get the change in open interest. And you also get that broken down underneath for longs and shorts for both the commercials and the non-commercials. And we can see this broken down into a graph over a period of time, which also gives us comparatives, which are also very useful to look back on the history. And so we'll go and do that right now. And here we have a graph of the positions over 52 weeks, that's a year, for the commitment of traders of the commercials and non-commercials. And this is for the Australian dollar. This chart is produced by cotbase.com. And you can see here where we got to a low position with the commercials, and we're completely opposite to the speculators, and they've got a long position, so we're short. You can see we had a big drop off in the price of the Australian dollar. Conversely, when we were at a high and very bullish for the commercials, and we were fairly bearish for the non-commercials, that we actually had a hike in the rise of the price of the Australian dollar. This is a very useful tool to be using, and we can show you other ways that we use it and other things that we do with it. So here we have the Australian dollar, US dollar, and we've got the RSI. Now if we put a trend line on the RSI and we wait for it to go above the 69.1 and come back down and cut through it, this gives us a sell signal. Now, this obviously would have been a very good sell signal here. We had a sell signal here indicating this big long fall that we've had. And quite recently, we've had a rise in the price of the Australian dollar, which is just going through the 50 here. And I'm expecting it to turn back down and cut through the trend line, which will give us another sell signal because we have an extreme position of short the commercials and long the non-commercials on the Commitment of Traders report, and this should be quite a long sustained downward trend, which is always very profitable. Last bit of information, this is Ludwig's divergence calculator, and it works really well, and this helps us with the crosses. These are the currencies against the US dollar, and here we have the crosses calculated, and it gives us a divergence value between the commercials and the non-commercials, and it shows some of the pairs that are of more interest than others. A very useful tool, only available on the Members Centre, and the pairs that are of most interest we do feature on the video on the Members Centre every day, so you get a daily video on those. Hello, good morning and welcome. This is the 12th of December and it's Tuesday, so it's actually the 12th of the 12th, and we're just after 10 o'clock. So this morning we've had a little bit of poor news out for the euro and the pound, so that the pound and the euro have sort of fallen slightly, but I mean there isn't anything much over the last 4 or 5 trading days. The Australian dollar's come up slightly off the lows. It's not even 50 pips, but we are below the 50 on the RSI. One of the things, I mean, if we look back here where we went up the trend line and we broke the trend line and I called it a short. Now, basically, as it has held below the trend line, apart from this little skip up here, we have been in a downwards motion. We've hit the bottom, and we are perhaps thinking we might get a little bit of a pullback, might come up to the 77 mark. I've got a very small trade in right at the wrong place, but you know, I think eventually that'll come right, and it is only a small trade, so we'll see where this goes. I mean, if we go somewhere up near the 77 mark, I will be selling that quite aggressively. So let's see what happens. Oh, the other thing is, right, this move that we've had from here, that's 4 months. It was the 31st of August, really, that started, but it's a nice big move. Then we got the pound US dollar. Um, as I said, we got a bit of weakness in. I've put stops on the 2 trades in profit, and I've put another trade in, which is slightly in profit now. We've got a commercial short ratio of 1.27 to 1 for the pound. I'm expecting to go down to the 29 mark, so that will give it, I think it's a couple hundred pips, something like that. No, 430 pips. So that'd be quite nice. We are just below the 50 on the RSI, which is significant because that's bearish. As long as we hold below the 50, that is bearish. If we go below the 30.9, that is extremely bearish. You know, unless it breaks back up, I wouldn't expect any big rises. Right, USD, Canadian dollar. I got 2 trades here in profit, a third trade slightly in profit. So we'll wait and see how that goes. We are above the 50 on the RSI, which again is significant, and we're looking for quite a lot more strength on this pair. Commercial short ratio of 1.65, that's on the euro dollar. Now we have seen quite a nice fall in the euro. This 1.65, although it's only a small number, this is an extreme position because the commitment of traders, the commercials, have been long the euro for a long time, and for them to take a short position, it is a 5-year extreme short position. We are actually below the 50 on the RSI, which is good. We're into bearish territory, and I am expecting this to come down nicely. So we'll see how it goes. USD JPY, we've got a commercials ratio which has been reduced long for the Japanese yen of 4.14. We've seen quite a big move up. So this was about Tuesday when they were 4.4 long the Japanese yen. We've actually gone up, I think it's about 100 pips, is it? Yeah, it's about 100 pips. So I'd expect them to be even more bearish for the pair, long for the Japanese yen. We put our trend line on, and the RSI cut it once. I put a little bit less of an angle on it. And I put a trade in. I did have the opportunity actually of putting a stop on it, and I didn't. So it's gone up another 100 pips, and it does look like it's going to cut it now and come back down. We'll see where that goes, but I am quite bearish this pair. I prefer the crosses actually, but you know, we'll see how that goes. USD Swiss franc, we've had a nice little pullback. I don't know how many pips that was, but it does look like we're going to get a bit of weakness now. It was more or less 200 pips. We have started to come back down. We have a commercial long ratio for the Swiss franc of 5.7 to 1. So that's short for the pair. So I'm expecting quite a nice move down for this. I expect this downward trend for this pair to continue for some months. We have quite an extreme on the commitment of traders for the Swiss franc, and I would like to see the RSI come below the 50 just to confirm the short move. New Zealand dollar, US dollar. I think we've had a move up of about 100 pips. it's sort of more or less broken the sideways movement. We have got an extreme position on the commitment of traders. If you haven't seen it, go back and have a look at it. They are long the New Zealand dollar against the US dollar. I put a, a sort of cross up on the RSI, forgotten the words now, and we've actually broken through to the upside. So I'm basically going to take this off now. It's served its purpose, and basically we could do it with a trend line popping up here, and we would sell that back through. I don't really want to be long it, so we'll see how that goes. But if it goes up nicely, you know, recent highs, I would short that back down at weakness. Silver, I got out of this more or less where we are at the moment. The commitment of traders, they made quite a big move off the bearish. I thought we'd sort of run out of steam a little bit. I think we might get a bit of a bounce, and if we get a bit of a bounce, I will be going short on silver again. But I did quite well on that. Let's just have a quick look. Yeah, it's just over 100 pips. It's did quite well on it. I've got about 1.5% for the month at the moment. So it has been quite a hard month, I'm afraid. I haven't really done that great on the old taking profit, but we'll see how it ends up, you know. Okay, well, thank you very much for watching, and hopefully see you later. Cheers.